How did NLP get a reputation for being about persuasion and influence? You're going to find out in this video. Keep watching. This is Life Mastery Gym. I'm Damon, and I teach people just like you cutting-edge NLP processes and techniques so that you can take charge of your life and master your destiny. So if that sounds good, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. The Milton Model is a NLP model, a Neuro-Linguistic Programming model that was modeled from the hypnotic techniques of the father of modern hypnosis, Milton Erickson. By the end of this video, you're going to have a much clearer understanding of how this model works. And I've used this model so much in sales. For over a decade, I've been in sales, and this model has proven time and again to be a model that you can use for dramatic persuasion and influence. In this video, I'm not going to go through every single language pattern of the Milton model, but by the end of the video, I'm going to show you how you can get your hands on a free PDF where you will find every single pattern listed with examples. So one thing the founders of NLP realized very early on is that very effective therapists were also very, very persuasive. And this could not have been more true about Milton Erickson. Just out of curiosity, I'm wondering if you know who Milton Erickson is. If so, or if not, let me know in the comments below just by typing yes or no. To truly understand how the Milton model came to be, I think it really starts with the NLP meta model, the very first NLP model ever created. And I just recently did a video on this. So if you want to check out that video, and I really recommend that you do if you're interested in NLP and you're interested in language patterns of NLP, click the I right here in the top corner over here, and you'll see a drop down and you'll see that the video is linked to this one. And also in that video, I give you a free PDF with the language patterns of the meta model. So what the meta model is about, it's about getting very precise. It's about noticing patterns in our language that distorts, generalizes, and deletes information in reality. So we create a map of reality based on these deletions, generalizations, and distortions. And this is something we do naturally. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just something we do in order to create a map of reality, something that we can function from reality more practically. And what happens inevitably is we delete out certain information that is useful, or we delete out resources or choices, and then we also distort and we generalize. So in learning the meta model, you can recognize these patterns and then challenge them either in your own thinking, in your own language, or with other people if you're a coach, a therapist, or in sales. So the power of the meta model is in the precision, about getting very precise about what is actually going on and what is actually happening. And in getting precise about that, you are able to bring those resources and information, insights, wisdom back into your map of reality and enrich your map of reality so you have more choice, you have more resources. So again, this is the power of the meta model. And when Richard Bandler and John Grinder, the creators of NLP, were working on this, they had a mentor who also taught at the University of California in Santa Cruz. And his name is Gregory Bateson, or was Gregory Bateson. And he happened to be friends with an unusual man by the name of Milton Erickson, who lived at the time in Phoenix, Arizona. Milton Erickson was known for being really on the fringe of psychology because he was a rather eccentric person, and he used hypnosis. And not only did he use hypnosis, he used hypnosis to a degree and to a power and influence that nobody had ever seen before. And he was getting amazing results with his clients. So Bateson told Bandler and Grinder, hey, you really should check this guy out. And to this point, Bandler and Grinder had been modeling therapists like Fritz Perls and Virginia Satir, and that's how the meta model came about. They were basically modeling their questioning of people in therapy sessions and realized that they would get very precise about the actual situation the person was in. And just by getting very clear, asking good questions, the person would often resolve their issues. Taking the lead from Gregory Bateson, Richard Bandler, and John Grinder went out to Phoenix, Arizona to meet this guy, Milton Erickson. He was called the Wizard of the Desert. And so they meet Milton Erickson and they see him working with clients, and they start modeling and they start tracking what he's doing. And it was the most extraordinary thing. Everything that he was doing was the exact opposite of the meta model. Instead of getting very precise, he was very vague, and so vague that the person he was working with would naturally go into a trance, even conversationally. And the person would then resolve whatever issue, or along the trance or along the way would then resolve the issue. So this was the most interesting thing, because what Bandler and Grinder were finding is, okay, the best way to get results is to get very precise. And then they meet Milton Erickson, who gets basically the same results, very fast, very effective. Anybody's doing the exact opposite. And in the meta model, it's about becoming conscious. It's about waking up from the trance that you're in. So we kind of get stuck in this trance, this way of thinking, and we're going through one trance to the next trance to the next trance. The meta model questions kind of wake you up into realizing, oh, well, yeah, I was just kind of caught in that way of thinking. That's not really true, or that's not, really what's available to me. There's so much more. And what Milton Erickson was doing is he was having the person go into the unconscious. He was having the person go basically unconscious and giving subtle instructions to the unconscious. And his whole idea about doing this was to not disturb the unconscious, not try to bring the unconscious into consciousness, let the unconscious be, and give the instructions to the unconscious to solve the problem, to take care of it. He had a very holistic approach, like we could just heal ourselves. We have all the things that we need to heal ourselves. We have all the resources. And because his languaging was so vague, and we're always trying to find meaning, we naturally plug in the meanings that we need to with this very vague language. So he would start off by pacing someone by saying things that were true and couldn't be denied, like you're sitting there, you're listening to my voice, and you're beginning to relax. So he would say 2 things or 3 things that were absolutely true that you could not deny, and then he would follow it with something like, as you're beginning to relax. And so the person would then start to relax. And so he would guide them through a trance and give very vague details about what was going on, what was happening, and the mind naturally gravitates, looks for meaning, looks for ways to plug this in and make it true for you. And this is actually how fortune tellers work. Now, I'm not saying in any way that Milton Erickson was a fortune teller, or he was a scam artist or anything like that, but what fortune tellers will do, are these so-called psychics. They give you very vague information about nothing really in particular, but the mind gravitates to it. So you'll hear them say things like, oh, like, yeah, I'm seeing someone who passed away in your lifetime who you knew, and I think their name either starts with a G or a D, and they'll just throw out these random letters like this, and so the person's mind goes and starts to find, okay, well, who passed away who has the first letter of their name being a G or a D, and the person will usually find something, even if it's not even a person they were close to, they will find something, and that gives the fortune teller or the psychic a way to sort of lead into this and start moving forward with it. So they're basing all of this on the person not wanting to be in a state of confusion and wanting to find meaning and plugging these meanings in. Now, this similar thing works in therapy or hypnotherapy, where the person will find the meanings that they need. Now, it's completely different, and it's not fortune telling, or it's not a fake psychic or anything like that, but it's bringing out the healing abilities and qualities, resources that are already there in the unconscious without bringing them out into consciousness like the meta model does, but allowing them to stay there and just giving the gentle and very vague instructions to heal or resolve whatever it is that is holding the person back, limiting them, or troubling them. Now, I could talk on and on about the Milton model. I've had some amazing experiences with it. I've done a lot of self-hypnosis on myself, and I've done a lot of hypnosis with other people in practicing. It's not something I typically use in my practice, and I've also used these patterns of the Milton model in sales, and you can become extremely persuasive using them. So if you learn them and you're using them, do it with integrity, because it can be very, very persuasive, and you can get to the point of being overly manipulative, or you can exploit people, and we don't want to do that. And I've talked a lot about this on my videos, that there is such thing as a karma, that how you treat other people, your unconscious doesn't know the difference. So if you're treating other people bad, you will turn that on yourself and treat yourself bad, and it becomes very self-destructive. Now, a lot of people call the Milton model the inverse meta model, and there's a lot of truth to that, because if you put them together, they're almost like two opposing mirrors. On one end of the spectrum, you have precision, and on the other end of the spectrum with the Milton model, it's very, very vague. So they call it the inverse meta model. However, there are more patterns in the Milton model that don't really line up with the meta model. So most of them are very vague, but not all of them. They're just a way of sort of formatting language to get a person to think a certain way. So inverse meta model, yes, to a certain extent, but I don't want to actually say that, because it will limit the way that you think of the Milton model. There are other pieces to the Milton model that don't exactly line up as an inverse meta model. So whether you are a hypnotist, or you want to become a hypnotist, or you want to be more an NLPer, which is how I identify more as an NLPer. I like to work more in consciousness, bringing the unconscious into consciousness, because I don't like things that are vague. I don't like things that are confusing or chaotic. But if you enjoy that world a little bit more, then the Milton model might be perfect for you. And regardless, even if you're one or the other, it's worth learning the Milton model just to understand the different levels of communication, either very precise or very vague. And if you have that versatility, you will just become a much better communicator. And the Milton model will no matter what, make you much, much more persuasive. And you can use the meta model for being persuasive as well. But the Milton model is really where NLP got the reputation for being very, very persuasive and influential. And almost immediately, they started using these patterns from Milton Erickson's techniques with sales. It's primarily used with, it started off being used with therapy. And if you have ever been to therapy and you had a really good therapist, the chances are they were also very persuasive and influential. Not all the time, but a lot of times they are. They have a way of making you trust them. They build rapport with you very quickly. They pace your situation, and then they start moving you toward a solution. That's really sort of the DNA of NLP. And so having different skill sets and toolkits or toolboxes in language is so, so powerful. And so that it doesn't matter if you're a coach or a therapist or even in sales, they all are very, very similar. What you're wanting to do is you're wanting to change behavior. And you can, like I said, you can use this on yourself. You want to change your own behavior, or if you want to change the behavior of the people you're working with. Having good language patterns, having good, clean language skills, and being intentional about what you're doing, it is so much more powerful than not having those things, not having those skills, and not having those intentions. So learn the Milton model. Even if you don't think you're going to use it a lot, it will teach you a lot about language. It will teach you a lot about how we think, and it will teach you a lot about persuasion and influence. What you know now is more of an understanding behind the Milton model, why you should learn it, why is it persuasive, and why does it influence people. But what you don't actually have is the patterns themselves. So if you want to get your hands on a free PDF where all of the patterns are outlined with examples, if you look in the description below, you'll see that there's a link there. And then also in the comments below, I pinned the comment at the top. Just click that link and you can get immediate access to the Milton Model patterns. Like I said, practice them, but make sure you use them with integrity, and think in terms of congruence and ecology. And if you're not sure what those terms mean in NLP, look them up on my channel. I've done videos on those as well. And it's very, very important to have that when you're doing change work. And you can even look at sales as change work, because if you're influencing someone's behavior, that is change work. And nothing does it more with more power than the power of language. So check out that free PDF. If you like this video, please click like right here. And if you have not already subscribed to this channel, make sure you do that by clicking the subscribe button right down here and clicking the bell so you'll be notified when new videos come out. And while you're down there, make sure you get your hands on that free PDF. Also, if you know anyone who you think would like this video, make sure you share it with them. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.